I'm following the changes in the budgets, I'm following the changes in the laws, I'm following the changes in M2 and the monetary policy. I'm definitely an active trader. I'm not a buy and hold diamond hand kind of guy. I think a lot of people will be satisfied except the bears. We're going to be making little bear burgers with them. So I loaded up 100K into that one because it was positioned nicely. It's up 14% since then.
Welcome everyone to the podcast. This is Mariusz Konechny. Today I have a special guest. I'm chatting with Stock Mo from the YouTube channel called Stock Mo. So Mo, thank you very much for joining me.
It's a pleasure to be here. I appreciate it.
Yeah, so I want to know your story. I want to know your story of investing. From what I understand, you used to be a high school teacher. And right?
Amongst many of other things. I started out, I worked for American Express Financial Advisors. It was, at the time, I believe, the largest advising firm in the country. I met my beautiful wife, who was an educator. And I'll give you a little longer version on this one. This is how I got into the business. But she was happy every single day. I'd come home from work stressed out. And, you know, when you see that, and I went through the dot-com bust as an advisor, and that was the worst time in the world. We're talking the NASDAQ dropping 75%. It was ruthless to be in the industry back then. And at a certain point, as a young man, you grow, I would say, internally to know if you're chasing money or happiness or a combination. And of course, everybody says, I want it all. And it's not that simple. And so as I grew, I realized I wanted to do something more with the skills I have. And I moved into education afterwards and went on to have a wonderful educational career, 2-time national champion coach in investing, 15-time state champion coach, recognized on the Senate floor multiple times in my home state, invited to DC multiple times to celebrate, got invited to FINRA multiple times. So I took a combination of two worlds, the actual world of investing, working for American Express, and combined that with education and taught high school, college levels. I got to teach at some off campuses for Penn State and a few other colleges.
Did you teach investing?
I taught investing, finance, management, all kinds of different things at the schools I taught at. Also crypto. I'm kind of proud of this. One of the biggest accomplishments, even though we had a lot of accolades through my career, was that I was able to get the school board to okay the teaching of crypto years and years ago. I think it was like probably around 7 years ago, they okayed it for credit in my investing class, which was one of the first places, I would argue, in the country, if not the first high school, to have crypto 7 years ago for credit to learn about what it is, how to invest in it, and everything else. And then, of course, I transitioned. And if you want to hear that story, it's an interesting story on how I moved into YouTube. My wife had stage 3 cancer quite a few years ago, about eight years ago. And they gave her roughly an 18% chance of living 5 years. She had colon cancer. It was about the size of a grapefruit. It spread into some of her lymph nodes. It was a horrible time, to be blunt. I had 3 children. We were both working as educators. And when you get that diagnosis, just when you hear the doctor come up to you and say, look, I got to be honest with you. I just want to give you the numbers. She has an 18% chance of living 5 years. And I'm like, what? You know, and that's your wife, your best friend, your partner in life. Everything kind of changes for you. Now, as we go forward, we lost everything. I had a really nice investment account. We were both working towards building up our financial future. My oldest son was about ready to go to college, and we lost everything. The bills were astronomical. They were just absolutely crazy. Some of the things were covered. Some of the things weren't covered. The machine's covered, but the chemicals are covered for the chemo, but the machine that gives them to you aren't. So every time you get the machine, you got to pay $500 to $1,000. But the chemicals, $25,000 to $50,000 a shot, and you need at least 12 of them. And it's like, whoa, you know. And so everything we had was gone. But it changed me in a good way, because the community I taught at came together and made a Google share sheet. And I had to take my wife for, it seems like a year and a half for radiation, chemo, an hour and a half, 2-hour drive to get treatments at certain places, operations. And they set up a Google Share sheet to make dinners for my children, to take the dinners over. Who was going to feed Mo's family today? And when you see that kind of outreach from a community, you realize there's a lot of good in the world. And up to this point, I've been trained my entire life. I have an MBA. I have 2 master's degrees. I have an MBA and a master's of business education. I've been trained my entire life working for the corporations to maximize shareholder wealth. And, you know, when that's ingrained in you nonstop for your life, and then you hit a moment, a brick wall that says, hold on, there's more to life than just making money. And I learned that lesson through what my wife went through. It was a horrible, horrible experience. I think anybody listening, watching this podcast, you've been touched by cancer in one way or another. A parent, a grandparent, an uncle, a cousin, you personally. It's not fun. It can change everything about everything you're trying to do. Financial freedom could be taken away from you. Generational wealth to help out the next generation, destroyed. And it's rough. And so I've been blessed. I've been absolutely blessed. My wife is 8 years later, no cancer. The effects on her are major. We see them every day. But she's alive, and she continues to grow from that experience, as we all do when you're hit with something like that. So now we go to COVID 2020. School shut down March 2020. We walk out of school. One of the students, I said, don't be surprised they shut the schools down. Kind of half joking with the students. And then one of the students runs up to me. I'm walking out to my car. She says, Mr. Mo, they just shut the schools down. They said only for a few days. And I knew if they shut it down for one day, we weren't going back for the rest of the year. And we had to teach online, and they made us get cameras and learn how to teach. So that taught me how to use a camera and teach in front of a camera. And so one of my students said, he says, hey, Mo, you should try this YouTube thing. I never even watch YouTube, you know? And I'm like, what do you mean? They're like, I'm on YouTube. I made a whole bunch of videos talking about what you talk about in class. And I said, you did? He goes, yeah. And I'm like, interested, you know? I'm like, that's cool. And he says, I made a few $1,000s. Well, remember, I'm getting through cancer. We lost everything. I'm like, anything would help. If I could teach what I teach in the classroom to people on YouTube and they want to listen and learn, absolutely. I'll share what I trade. I'll just try to help somebody. Because when you go through and have people have to feed your children, you go home and somebody has to sign up because you got to go to the hospital until 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night and there's no food for your kids. That's a game changer in life. So I made up my mind when I started my YouTube channel, StockMo, that I was going to do what I can to help educate, to share what I'm doing, to just try to make the world a better place, to give back my training, my expertise to those who care. And that's what we have dedicated the channel to. Positivity, helping people learn so they can earn. Just doing what we can to make things better. And that's, when I got on YouTube, I didn't even know how to upload a video. I didn't know how to put a little box down in the bottom to share a screen. I mean, there was so much learning, but I started in August, and by January 1st, I was able to retire from teaching, retire my wife from teaching, and focus on her health and our little channel, our little business, and grow that to support our family from there on out. Fast forward, we have 700 and something thousand subscribers. We have a Patreon, StockMo Patreon, thousands of members there, and we continue to try to help people learn. We roll out a lot of free resources to help people along the way. And of course, I consider myself one of the most transparent, investing, educating, all of that people out there, because I share my portfolio on the videos to let them know what I'm doing. So there is no paywall. If they want to see what I'm buying and selling, they can see it. If they'd like to join my community where we have a lot of education and other experts in there to help, they can do that. But that's kind of how I do it.
Wow, what a story. I had no idea. So what is your style of investing? I know you use technicals, you mentioned crypto, but how would you define your style?
I'm aggressive. I'm gonna be
I like aggressive.
yeah, I'm gonna be blunt. I'll share this up here for the family, your family to see. So this is my portfolio right now. This is a $2 million portfolio. I started it two weeks ago. Rolled a lot of money in here, and I know you guys can't see me down here, but that's all right. You can hear me.
But you can,
Down
you,
here,
you can share the screen. You know that?
well, I am. You guys can see it, right? You guys can see
Yeah.
the portfolio here. So as I do this, with this portfolio, just to tell you, I got a mix, but I just took profit on Monday using the technicals. Like you said, hey, I heard you're a technical guy. I am, and fundamentals. Obviously, I've learned both. This is 2.424 mil. I started at 2.23, so we're up almost $200,000 live in front of everybody in 2.5 weeks. I share the plays. I'm in Amazon, Baba, BMNR is one of my newest plays. That's doing okay. And some HCC, my coal mine based off the big, beautiful budget. So what I like to do, and you can see my crypto, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and then I got my crypto it's like Coinbase, some of the other places that I share, and I just kind of share that with the people. And so I'm I'm not hey, I'm just going to buy QQQ. I'm just going to buy the SPY. But I do have treasuries for that 4 point something percent as kind of my dry powder for if there's a moment where everything crashes, I can buy in. So I try to be well-rounded in my investing, but I am definitely aggressive in it. I'm big in the crypto sector right now, not because I like crypto, but because I see the advantages of the legislation in DC. I see how corporations and big hedgies and all the big money out there, the millionaires, billionaires, and trillionaires are moving into it. And you continue to see that adoption. The SEC's getting friendly. It's almost like 180 degrees different than it was 10 years ago when everybody hated it. And now you're seeing everybody love it. And when the corporations start to move their dry powder into crypto, you see these treasuries, the strategies out there, opportunities there. And now the one thing people don't realize is that for every up, there is a down. And we got to experience that down this week, which for those who follow my channel, I was selling on Monday and leading by example. Do you get fired up and people yell at you? Yeah, because everybody wants a diamond hand. Now, me being an old industry guy and an educator, when you see certain cues from retail, certain cues from the technicals, overbought, RSI, Bollinger Bands, you gotta heed those warnings. And that's one of the hardest part I think people have trouble with is knowing when to buy or when to sell at the top, and when you're at the bottom, how to react there. You know, when you're going down, do you have stop losses? No, I just let it roll. Like there's things that I think people need educated on because we don't teach this in high school. Oh, we teach them how to write a check. I know because I was a business teacher. We teach people how to spend in a high school. We teach people how to give their money away in high school. We don't teach them how to make it grow. And that's one of the things I wanted to change in this world, and I believe we are doing that.
But when you say you are interested in crypto because you see these changes, do you mean that you care very much about the flows of money and where it's going, and you want to position yourself like ahead of that?
Yes, exactly. Like I said, you're continuing to see a lot of changes in that sector. It's like a baby sector. You know, big banks, before SAB 121 was abolished, Choke Point 2.0 was there, everything, the reputation law was there. All these things were meant to stop crypto from being adopted by corporations and the financial institutions which flow that money into a sector. So you have all these roadblocks that are coming down quickly. Like I have never in my career watched as a sector that was hated by those in power switch to not only not be hated, but we are going to help support you with the laws and regulations we need to help you grow. And now you see the Clarity Act getting worked on. We already had the Genius Act done and signed. So moving forward, you're going to see more corporations start to add on some crypto in the balance sheets. You're going to see governments around the world getting involved. You also see strong correlations between M2 globally and the price of crypto globally. Very strong correlations. I think it's up close.
We see the M2 rebounding.
Yeah,
with,
I know it.
months. Yeah.
Yeah, and so
And
as
that's
that
even before interest rates get cut.
right, so I want to position myself ahead of the legislation changes, which I'm already well ahead of that. And then as those moments that give us the Clarity Act, the spot ETS for say XRP, I'm big into that, and other plays out there concerning the crypto market, I want to be able to take full advantage of that and show people why I like it, both fundamentally. You're hearing all these fundamentals and the reasoning behind it on the macroeconomics reasons around globally, as well as the legislation reasons and the SEC. Old Uncle Paulie Atkins down there, I might even send him a Christmas card. You're seeing the big changes where we are having a hand reach out and pull us up, not smacking us over the head with a hammer. And that's the changes that it's slow, but is it? No, it's like rapid. And so I think the SEC is going to make some drastic changes come Q4 in October, November. Spot ETFs for XRP. Staking allowed in the ETFs for Ethereum. Look at BlackRock coming out and putting in for a staking ETF concerning Ethereum. BlackRock doesn't do that unless, I believe this, unless they are already had those hard conversations with the SEC and the SEC gives them the blessing ahead of time. Of course, they have to still go through the paperwork and make sure everything's good. But once they step in, I always say it's game over. Look towards more good things coming down the pipeline. So I want to be positioned before you get the official OKs, and then my portfolio runs.
And then so outside of the crypto, we're talking about stocks. What sectors do you like right now? What specific stocks do you like?
I had HCC. This is coal mine company. I was looking at the big beautiful bill or whatever it was called, researching that. They had the tax credit in there. I think I have notes on that. So I'm in Warrior Met Coal, and they had that huge tax credit that they put in there. This was perfect for that company. And so I loaded up 100K into that one because it was positioned nicely. And so I got in right when they were signing it. It's up 14% since then. So a quick 14.
Okay, so again, you're following the same theme. You're looking at the flow of money, the macro situation, and then you want to find who you think the winners are going to be from that. Am I right?
I'm following the changes in the budgets. I'm following the changes in the laws. I'm following the changes in M2 and the monetary policy with the tax cuts or the Fed rates coming down here, hopefully in September. I'm following it all. I mean, this is what I do 24/7. I don't blindly say I'm just going to DCA into the SPY and be done with it. Like I said, this is what I do. So I enjoy the research. I enjoy reading everything and trying to find the best opportunities as things change. And we know everything changes daily. What I like today, I might not like tomorrow because certain changes happening. I like looking at the different countries because I know the U.S., look at the Buffett indicator, over, 200 now? Like, it's ridiculous how priced stocks are in the U.S. So I do kind of look for overseas opportunities as well.
And then would you consider yourself more of a trader or an investor, or how long do you tend to hold onto your positions?
I'm definitely an active trader. I'm not a buy and hold diamond hand kind of guy. And I think that's part of being on YouTube that I think a lot of people, it's surprising because certain channels will talk about a stock and all they'll do is discuss that stock and they'll never sell it and they just buy it. Even if the chart says we are way overbought, it's time to take profit, the Bollinger Bands are broken, the RSI's at 90, and they're like, I'm buying, I'm not, but and then it pulls back as you would expect, and profits are taken, and people, and it's just, hey, I'm buying, and they never ever teach their viewers how to take profits, get back in at certain key support levels, and then you have more shares to ride as long as the long-term fundamentals make sense. And you know, I don't know. It's just I get a little bit frustrated when I see other people out there.
But you see, here's the thing. Here's what I see a lot on social media is that we all have different personalities and different styles, and people tend to kind of throw stones at each other because he's not doing it my way, right? And I'm
True.
interviewing different individuals, and it's fascinating how I learn that like they just want to do different things, and that's fine. Not everybody has to do it the way you do it or the way I do it. And I think investors in general should be more tolerant of other people's likings and personalities and investment styles.
Oh, absolutely. Hey, man, there's a right way and a wrong way. You can pick whatever way you want to do it. I definitely, with almost 30 years of experience, I found my right way. I know a lot of people out there have their right way, and
Right.
I don't have to agree with them. I let my results
right.
speak for themselves, which have spoken for themselves.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. My final question to you is, how can people find you, and also any final thoughts that you might have?
No, I'm pretty. I'll put it this way: they could find me over at YouTube. It's just Stock Mo, M-O-E. Everybody calls me Mo, and you can find me on Patreon at Stock Mo as well. You can just search that. We have a lot. We have a lot of good things over there to help people. On the channel, we have resources we help people with for free, of course, and just a little update of where I see things going for those who are watching / listening to this. I still believe very wholeheartedly that the crypto industry, at least until the midterm elections, because that could change everything, we have bipartisanship down there working towards getting these crypto things done. So it's not all one side versus the other. You saw that with the vote with the Genius Act. So I do have hope that we will continue to see some good things in that sector, and I do not believe that sector is done moving higher. I also do like certain companies that are here to benefit from some of the tax breaks in that big, beautiful bill. Make sure you're looking at that. And like we discussed earlier, M2 continues to go higher. There's a correlation between the stock market and crypto and M2. As M2 goes higher, we normally see these prices go up with that. Now, if all of a sudden we see something change, recession, unemployment skyrocketing, just be careful. Look at those long-dated treasuries as a safety net. And that's some of the things I'm watching as well, especially with possible rate cuts going into next year. I'm excited. I think it's a fun time to be an investor. I think a lot of people out there continuing to DCA even into just a SPY. I know, once again, that's not my style, but I believe you're going to be happy as well. So I think a lot of people will be satisfied, except the bears. We're going to be making little bear burgers with them.